Hi everyone, it's Lana from 3E Energy Healing here, and I would like to bring you a message that I channeled. This actually was over a year ago. I've been a little hesitant to put out these messages since some of them are, they're just off the beaten path. So if you enjoy them, I'm going to ask that you please subscribe, like, and share, and click the notification bell to be notified. I will be actually putting out more videos. So as you may or may not know, I channel spirit. I utilize the Christ consciousness as my portal. I use that as a portal to access the beings within the light that are service to others, that are unconditionally loving, and that have a message to give humanity. So in this particular message, there are two things I want to put up front right away that are really important for everybody to understand. The first is that this channeled work came from somebody named Vivek. And I didn't know who that was. But as we get into the message, you'll understand my, disbelief, I guess. When after I channeled this message, I looked up Vivek and like, who is Vivek? And it turned out to be an actual person. And I'll read a little bit of the description of who he is. And it completely matched up with the information that he gave me during this session. These are the little miracles that I look to validate the information that's coming through. The second important point that you guys need to know is that this work references the work of Paul Selig. Paul, S-E-L-I-G. This is a channel who, his gift is just amazing. He rapidly channels whole novels that are not edited. He doesn't even know what's coming through him, but he channels the soul group Melchizedek. And I need you guys to go read his books because his work is transformational, life-changing, and absolutely required right now at this point in time. And so the work that Vivek is channeling through me references the work that Paul Selig has channeled with his connection to Melchizedek. Well, I'm mentioning it now so that you can understand that there is work that's already happened that does subscribe to a lot of these same themes. It's just that Vivek wanted to add on or pile on, as he said, to that work. So I highly recommend those books. And actually reading those books is really what opened up my own channeling abilities. So really amazing transformational work. And what I'll be doing today is I'll be reading the channeled message. So I'll be wearing my glasses for that. Sorry for the glare on the glasses, but I cannot read without them. Anyways, I will also be narrating a little bit, and I'll tell you when it's my words versus the words of the channel. It's just really dense information, and so I want to make sure that everybody can fully understand the work. Okay, and without further ado here. Okay, so we've given credit to Melchizedek, and Vivek wants everybody to read Paul Selig's books. And so do I, because if everybody read Paul Selig's books, then I think we would have a very different world. Okay. So here's where the message gets started. It says, "We are Voltaire Vivek. We wish to inform humanity of the grave mistakes that have been made in innocence, error, and judgment, born from the concept that we are separate from the One, which have been made throughout humanity and history. These are the days that humanity as we know it will come to an end. Get your mind out of the fear gutter. This is a good thing. This is a requirement for the Christ consciousness to return to the planet. As Melchizedek has taught us, we must be willing to be seen in our full expression by the Christ consciousness. We must be willing to be known by the Christ consciousness, such that we may be redeemed and reknown in a world that understands that nothing can be outside of God." Now, this is a recurring theme. This is me talking now. The theme of nothing can be outside of God is a very strong theme in all of the channelings that I get. they really want us to understand that God is all. And when you really think about that, when you think about God is all, God is not just you or a plant or a dog or the person walking next to you on the street. God is also the criminal in jail and the murderer and all of the people who abuse other people. Like, that was a really hard concept for me to grasp and to fully accept. But nothing can be outside of God, right? This is one of the major teachings. Okay. Now that we have reiterated that these messages originate from Paul Selig, and he has given these messages to humanity as a basis for our message, which is coming next. So basically, Vivek is reiterating that, go read the books. They're amazing. It will change your life. And we're piling on from what Paul Selig has already done. Since some of these concepts can be very dense, I want to try to make it accessible to everyone. So I will do my best. But please give me some patience as we work through this message and as I try to give context and explain what is meant by these messages. So here we go. Here we're continuing now. You have arrived at the place in destiny where the humanity on earth will be given the truth, and the truth will be revealed about the nature of our existence and our true human history. The energetics of the planet are fastly coalescing to provide the revelations necessary for humanity to collectively understand that the manifest world known today is the manifest work of the one, the only Creator, which is love and light. So basically, this is saying, I'm interjecting here, that truths will be revealed coming up. And the truth that humanity needs to collectively understand, and the reason for whatever's going to happen in the future, the reason it's happening is so that we can understand that our manifest world that we know today is the work of the Creator. The Creator is love and light. Back to the message. This revelation will happen through a series of world events through both negative and high vibration. We call upon those hearing this message to be aware that all of manifest reality is of God. And I'll interject here, the concept of God being all and nothing being outside of creativity has been a really big theme that my guides deliver to me through the messages that I channel. So I want to just stop and acknowledge that the underlying truth that my guides hold is that we are all one and that God is the one. So we are all connected to the God force. Everything is the God force, and there is nothing outside of God. And it is precisely because God is all and nothing can be outside of God. It's like that digital 0-1. It's either 1 or it's 0, right? So 0 is nothing, nil, nothing exists. 1 is God, everything, all, it all exists. So when we're thinking about God, it's not a 0, it's a 1. And you are also the 1 because everything is the 1. So that's the concept that they have demonstrated and taught me in my messages. Okay, so we call upon those hearing this message to be aware that all of manifest reality is of God, including you and all your depravity, or so you would have yourself to be depraved. The depravity in the world is a simple miscalculation of origin and identity. The depravity in the world has been perpetuated by financial and governmental structures that war and fight and compete. Pause. There is another concept that they don't go into further detail here that I think is worth going through, which is that a lot of us feel that we're separate from each other, from the world, from God. And the fact that we just said all is of God means that you are not separate from God. You are one with God. You are a creation, and therefore you are part of the one. And therefore, to feel like the depravity that exists within you, the choices that you make that take you away from the light, or the thoughts that you have that you are a separate person and not part of any one or all or creative force, that you are not part of God, those are miscalculations of identity, because our true identity is that we are of God. Each person, no matter what depravity exists within their soul, is a creation of God. And this is really hard. We look at the characters like Diddy who are debasing innocent people, and you want to think condemning thoughts and judge him. And though that is a completely normal humanistic way to experience learning what Diddy has done, there is a higher truth here at play. Now, that doesn't absolve him from being held accountable. It doesn't create any bypassing of the damage that he has done to people who he has hurt and harmed. But what it does do is help us understand that all exists because it is a creation of God. We have miscalculated our identity as separate. If we knew the truth of our identity and our origin, we would understand that we are God and that we are all part of the one and the all. And therefore, we will not feel separate or not part of God. So that's another important piece of this puzzle. The depravity in the world has been perpetuated by financial and governmental structures that war, that fight, and that compete. These structures are in the process of deteriorating to the point that the masses will consider to be chaotic. However, we ask you to have a higher vision, a higher knowledge of the events at hand. It is required of all to understand that manifest reality is not intently real or patently real. Manifest reality is a collective thought. The world that you know will soon be in tatters. And here so when I channel, this is me speaking, when I channel, I am in the role of observer. So I'm receiving the information and saying the information that I'm getting, and it's being recorded. And yet my thinking brain can still analyze what is coming out. So it's not my brain making the message up. That is a separate thing that's coming through me as I channel, because that information is coming from, not from me, it's coming from a different source. But my Lana brain is able to observe that process in the moment, and I have reactions to that, to those concepts that are coming through me. I don't want to be a doomsday person. Like, it's just not in my interest. I don't want to hear these messages. But what I'll say about this is that this message is intended by spirit, the people who are channeling through me, as to be helpful. Because sometimes life collapses, right? Sometimes there are elements that are outside of our control and they don't feel so good. And what this message is a way to provide people with mechanisms to help as we witness perhaps what they're saying will be chaotic and a crumbling of our societal structures. So the other part of that is that in order for anything to change, we have to evolve through different manifestations of societal structure. And part of that process is the death process, death and rebuilding. And so what this is foretelling is of a crumbling of the way that our society currently is, but that doesn't mean that we can't move through this process and come out in a better place. So it's not necessarily a doomsday message, and it is aiming, and you'll see in a second, it is aiming to help give us some reprieve and some practical guidance to get through this period of time. So back to the message. The world that you know will soon be in tatters. The souls who do not agree to this will have choices as to their location, bilocation, or multidimensional location through this process. And choice, this is Lana again, choice is another theme that needs to absolutely be covered here. When they speak of choice, they're talking about free will. In a previous message that I have published, they go into the incredible power of free will, the fact that free will is humanity's superpower, in fact, because for the Creator to create us with the ability to shield away from the light that is God on purpose, and to choose that, to choose a willing departure from being part of and knowing we are part of the all and the one, to gift us that as a humanity is not only an incredible responsibility, but is the most important aspect of our humanity at all. Because it is not until we understand our power, the power that we hold with our ability to create using our free will, it isn't until we understand that as a humanity that we can move beyond brute force, competition, using our power in negative, demeaning, degrading ways toward others and toward the world. That we won't be able to move beyond that until we understand our incredible power as humanity, as a collective, and as individuals. So they have explained the ownership of our sovereignty as defined by the ownership of our free will and the choices that we make and hold, and know that although we may experience negativity within the world, it is entirely up to us to choose to experience that in an elevated, raised manner. And the way we elevate that is through our perspective. So the perspective piece is one part that I also want to touch on. We are multidimensional beings, which means that we don't only exist in this body. One of the most mind-blowing teachings that I have received on this is the concept that our focus point as humans is that we default to thinking that our focus is within our humanity. Our focus comes from our senses, our brain, our ego, the way that we think, that what we experience through our senses as a human. But that's a mistake also. So we have an entire spectrum of multidimensional focus points that we can go. And that's what I do when I channel. I relinquish my senses as a human and I travel to a different focal point. My focal point is not through my senses at that point. It's through extra senses that only exist at different levels of brainwave. And so through meditation, you can reach a different state of brainwave. Through hypnosis, you also reach those state of brainwaves. And that's why in my QHHT work, the quantum healing hypnosis, I can actually, what my clients are doing is channeling their higher self. And that's because we're moving our brainwave to a different active state, which accesses a different level of consciousness that we hold within the entirety of our multidimensional being. So when we say the souls who do not agree to this will have choices as to their location, bilocation, or multidimensional location, basically they're describing the concept of crossing into a different dimension or dimensional realm. Now, I'm able to do this through my practice of meditation, where my consciousness transports through to a different point in my multidimensional self. And my higher self mainly is what I channel, but in this message, it's Vivek, who belongs to a different realm as well. That's how we're able to connect. But what they're saying is that we have the choice. We can either experience this here, we can bilocate, we can transition to a different form, and that is all up to us. So some people will experience these changes in form as humans, but some will actually transition. So it says, most of these souls have been impacted already by the events of the recent past, including COVID and all of the earthquakes and natural disasters that are taking part in the world. Fear not. These souls are not lost. These souls have choices as to when, how, and where they will transition from this manifest reality to a different reality. And the different reality they choose is of their choosing and of their creation. So your soul is a powerful co-creator with the creator. Okay, and this is Lana speaking, as a soul, we can choose to create our own manifestations. If you've ever had an idea that you wanted to be some sort of profession and you went to school and you studied for it and you became that profession, or like when I was in my 20s, I wanted to become a model and I manifested that, and I was able to go overseas and do modeling contracts and live that life for a while. I manifested that. It is a combination of effort and will. And that is how we know it to be as humans. But you are also a soul, right? And so you're also manifesting from a soul perspective. And you have, once you can tap into that through meditation or through hypnosis or however, yoga, whatever you choose to do to get you into that connection point with your higher self and with source, that's when you can really understand from that higher perspective how what we are choosing as humans impacts our creations in this. I mean, you can think a thought and make it become real. A sculptor thinks of what they're going to sculpt and they mold clay to make it real. There is no difference between that originating from the brain or from the soul using their multidimensional self to work through the human and create manifestation in the physical realm. So I'm back to the message now. The different reality they choose is of their choosing and of their creation. Not one soul is lost. Now, I want to talk also here about, this is Lana, talking about spiritual bypassing. So we are not advocating spiritual bypassing, but here the guides are giving us, or Vivek actually is giving us an alternative pathway to experiencing some of the negative, sad, disastrous things, chaotic things that may happen in the future, or that what he's saying will happen in the future. And he is acknowledging the humanity of moving through and processing grief, loss, fear, sadness. We are not advocating spiritual bypassing. We are advocating moving through those emotions, but all the while understanding that there may be a larger picture at hand. And let me tell you what he says about that. Back to the message. Though it is unfortunate from an emotional and humanistic perspective of events, the carnage that has resulted are all part of a grander plan, not to undercut the lives lost and the grief happening on the human scale, but to give a picture that there are greater forces at hand, forces that revere every single soul and every single creation. And this force, therefore, has to continue to create, to transform, and to alight the manifest world. Now, back to me interjecting. When you hear someone say, oh, my guides told me that there's going to be mass carnage and disaster, what I do is roll my eyes, honestly. There's like an astrologer that I never like to listen to on YouTube because she's all doom and gloom. I don't want to be that doomsday person either, because I find it misguided and annoying. So I want you to look beyond that for me right now, if you can. Yes, Vivek is delivering a message that says there's going to be turmoil and carnage. But the purpose of this message is to give you an avenue to move forward, okay? It's also to relieve us by knowing that no soul is lost, that we all choose how we want to exit, and that even though there might be a mass loss, a mass tragedy that may happen. These happen. I mean, me telling you that this happens in the world doesn't make it so. Already we know many people lose their lives. There's war right now happening. There's tons of avenues for carnage and mass departures for human beings in the world. This is a fact that we have been dealing with, I mean, ever since I was born. I don't know about you. So what I want to get across here is that there is a grander plan happening that we at a higher level, at a multidimensional level, have a handle on, that we choose to go through, to learn from. And to know that there is a greater plan and a creator at hand, we can start to offload some of that weight that we take on our shoulders when experiencing these things. And that is the ultimate message here, to give our grief to God and the creator, to know that there was a master plan at hand, and to trust and to have faith. Okay, so that's the message I want to get across. Where were we? So forces that revere every single soul, every single creation, whether good, bad, or indifferent, and therefore have to continue to create, transform, and alight the manifest world. The upcoming events will be unbelievable to most, and to the few that can handle the larger message and picture of reality as it unfolds, there will be several advantages, but also disadvantages. Not everyone may come along for the ride by their own soul's choosing. No victims here. The no victims here was mine, not Vivek's. Back to Vivek. Letting this energy exist only in the physical realm will be very painful, but letting the energy exist in the fullness of manifestation, creation, and the one, the all, the creator, will yield different results. Now let's stop. Letting this energy exist, this energy meaning the experience of working through what some might describe as catastrophic events. Those are here to witness all of that. That energy that it creates from a human perspective, of grief and sadness, letting that only exist in our physical realm, having us deal with that only with our own human senses, devoid of a connection to the higher power, will be painful. But when you deal with that in context to the one and the all, the creator, that will yield different results. Now back to the message. We suggest making sure that the relationship you have to your internal psychic body be beefed up through the process of spiritual practice, including meditation, yoga, movement, song, chanting, and light body work. These adjustments that you are in full control of making within your own body through simple meditation on the light and love and oneness of the creator and your active role within creation as a critical part in manifest reality will produce and yield results that will help your soul to grow, help your psyche to understand, and help your heart to heal if encountering difficult circumstances. Now I'm going to repeat that because this is the punchline of this message. These adjustments that you are in full control of making within your own body through simple meditation on the light and love and oneness of the creator, and your role your active role as a critical part in manifest reality will produce and yield results that will help your soul to grow, help your psyche to understand, and help your heart to heal if encountering difficult circumstances. This will not be difficult for all. Many will experience these transitions as positive and joyful. Many who understand the concept of the one will understand the alterations that are being made in this manifest world are required in order for us to achieve a stasis of oneness in physical reality that does not and has never existed. To break that down, me interjecting here, basically, it's saying the people who understand the concept that the creator is the one will begin to understand that these adjustments in our physical reality are required in order for the oneness mentality and vibration to ascend on the earth. And that is required for us to achieve stasis. in physical reality and the knowledge of the oneness. So to achieve a state of understanding and knowing and belief in the oneness in our physical reality. And that state has never existed on earth. It does not exist today and has never existed on earth. Reaching this state requires change, massive change. This requires a whole new set of learning and a whole new idea of reality, because what we have claimed in separation and fear, as Melchizedek says, now this is referring back to Paul Selig's work, what we have claimed in separation and fear can only be known in separation and fear. What is claimed in oneness and light and love is the truth of existence. Okay, so what I want to tell you next is what blew my mind. So this part of my channeled message is only a smaller part of a larger message that I had been receiving, but that message was mainly geared toward me. And I actually made a series of videos about it. It was how I got a free trip to Greece and the events that happened during that. So check that out on my channel if you haven't yet. Also, subscribe, click the like button, and share, and click the notification bell if you like these messages, so that you can stay in the know when I produce more. Okay, so here I am. I've just been told you're gonna receive a channeling that you need to put out there, which is this message that I've just shared. And he tells me I'm what was his name? Voltaire Vivek. We are Voltaire Vivek, okay? So I'm like, who is Voltaire Vivek? And I asked, who are you? And he says, I'm a Pleiadian soul incarnated on earth as an Indian guru, here for the information I will give you therefore, the information I give you will have hints of the Indian Eastern philosophies. This is why Hatha Yoga, Mudra, and meditation is part of the energetic pattern I contributed to Earth. Okay, so what he's telling me is he contributed yoga as an energetic pattern to Earth. And my advice for you is to partake. My advice for you to partake is advice that will align you to my unique signature energy. You and the masses will benefit greatly from this, as I brought with me the knowledge of the masters when I incarnated. So he's saying, I brought with me the knowledge of the masters when I incarnated, and the knowledge of the masters is what I embedded in the practice of yoga that I offered to the earth. Okay. I ask, will I find Voltaire Vivek in historical records? And he says, yes, you may. You will know when you find me. I will tell you, Voltaire Vivek is my spiritual identity that I created for you to know me. You will find the guru needed to assist you in further steps on your path. So keep your eyes and ears open. And his final message to all of humanity, which is so beautiful, was, humanity does not understand the riches it holds in its manifest reality and in the sovereignty of the soul. And that's where he ended. So after the channeling, because I channel while I'm in the bath in the complete darkness, while it's a sensory deprivation for me. And this is how I have the most clear channel. So after I got out of the bath, I looked up who is Vivek Yoga, right? Because that was the only clue that I had. And I also looked at Voltaire, which also was interesting and relevant. I won't go into that though. So what I found was Swami Vivekananda, born Narendranath Datta, was an Indian Hindu monk, philosopher, author, religious teacher, and the chief disciple of the Indian mystic Ramakrishna. He was a key figure in the introduction of yoga to the Western world. What I further found out, and his address is still available that he did. So he got sponsored somehow to travel to the United States, came to the Chicago World Fair in, I don't remember when it was, late 1890s or in the 1890s, I think. And he entered himself as a speaker on the World's Fair stage in this religious summit that they were having. Now, at that time, Western world was not familiar with the Eastern world at all, or with Hinduism, with yoga, or anything like that. And he received a standing ovation as a wonderful orator. And that address is actually still recorded and available to listen to. And I actually haven't listened to it all the way. It's kind of hard to hear based on the quality of the recording. But I was blown away that I was able to get this validation. I mean, literally, he told me, I brought yoga to the world, and that is embedded in my energetic pattern. When I literally, okay, I know that I can channel. I know that, like, when I channel, it's real information that has changed my life, that has led me to many opportunities that I never would have had. And yet still, when I receive a validation like this, to where I'm told, here, this is who I am, and you can find me, and I go and I find him instantly, and the information that he gave me during the channeling matches up with the Wikipedia page, to me, that is, it makes me feel, wow, like I just get so amazed and kind of in disbelief that humans have the capacity to access a different part of manifest reality that is outside of our five senses, that we can actually access a stream of information that is conscious. Blows my mind. I just can't even, even though I do it, I can't fathom it sometimes. So anyway, hit the like button if you liked this message. I will be putting out more of these messages. It's just really hard because coming out of the spiritual closet, being subject to judgment of others, and it's a little scary, but hey, you know what? This is an amazing message. It was completely validated for me, and I feel responsible to put it out there. So I hope you enjoy. Thank you very much. Come visit me again. Bye.